Dan Kelsall, welcome.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Listen, really good to finally get to speak to you. I know you and I have, kind of shared a few messages via social, and I followed you on LinkedIn and various social with massive interest for a long time. And what this kind of thing gives me an opportunity to do, I guess, is meet people that that ordinarily I've just not had a chance to spend a bit of time with, especially the last year. Right, it's been challenging, but
yeah,
I find your content interesting. I find your your voice and what you do intriguing. I think your business partner and co-founders videos are about the funniest thing I've seen on LinkedIn, mate. I'm absolutely pissing myself when I watch them. The one with
don't tell him that. Don't tell him that. He's got a big enough head already, both literally and figuratively, mate.
Well, the one with the I don't know what was drinking. Was he drinking whiskey? But in between the description,
tequila. He didn't even drink it.
Does he not?
It went down about that much.
Was it real or was it gravy in there?
Oh no, it was real, mate. He
was
just couldn't handle it, mate. Honestly, his swigs were little sips. He was barely touching his lips.
It was hilarious. So I really like your approach. I like your, kind of your point of view and your differentiation. So it'd be really cool to get into that. Really good chance for me to, to finally find a bit more about you, a bit more about the mindset, your approach to business and your journey, Dan. So yeah, if we could just, I guess if we could start really with offended marketing and, what you're doing now. And I guess why, how you came to that and, what the purpose is there.
Yeah, I mean, offended marketing, I think it's just my way of saying fuck you to the corporate world, really, a little bit. And also our way of changing the way that marketing is done. If you look everywhere now, we're all becoming ad blind. Like you walk down the street, there's billboards everywhere, advertisements everywhere. You're flicking through social media, every third post is an advertisement of some sort. No one's paying attention anymore. And yet adverts have become more vanilla than ever before since the 80s, because everyone's scared of saying anything different because they don't want to offend such and such a group, or they don't want to say something that will alienate future customers. And all it's meaning is that less and less people are paying attention to our ads. We know that people spend less time looking at content and ads nowadays. And yet, we've kind of lost that 1980s flair and that risk taking, that appetite for risk. And that's what Offend is about. It's about bringing that back. And that's as simple as that's all we're trying to do. We're a creative house trying to bring that creative flair back, trying to get people to take risks again, and trying to do adverts that are literally fucking stop and stare. I want people driving past, and nearly crashing their cars because they can't believe that's on a billboard. Not crashing their cars, obviously, but nearly crashing. We want to bring that back. And that's our entire MO, mate. That's what we're after.
Yeah, and you've got a very unique, I guess a unique way to, purvey yourself. Certainly on, on social. I've seen you spitting bars, mate, and very impressed with your cross between Mike Skinner and John Cooper Clarke.
Yeah,
I think they're excellent. Again, I guess is that again a way of just being different, because you're very, I've in my time been through a big chunk of my PhD career at the start where I didn't really work with any agency. We just kind of fucking winged it and just did it ourselves. And then as I grew, I guess, into the business, and certainly went through an initial sale and then moving on, into another sale and spending more time in a slightly more corporate world, which I really didn't like. Started to meet with agencies, and I found them to be very different to what you're doing. And I found them to be, very kind of prescriptive, very, very unchallenging, and I'd always meet maybe the founder or maybe the guy in charge. And a couple of times I thought, fucking, he's really good. Really like him. Then I'd end up with a junior account exec working on my brand and trying to almost tell me what was going on and what the category looked like and what my point of view could be. And I guess you come across as very, very differently, and also very unashamedly kind of, gritty and northern. Is that, is that kind of part of the MO? And I guess are you being, deliberately agent provocateur, or is this disruptive, or is this just you, mate?
It's a bit of both. I think it's very, very hard to say that we're authentic, because I don't think anyone's truly authentic. I think we all hide parts of ourselves, and we all elevate part of ourselves that we think are going to get us somewhere, right? So I definitely use the parts of myself that seem to get me more business. But there's the other side. We are trying to do that. We are trying to shake up the industry, and we are trying to piss people off. We regularly call McCann. Because most of the stuff that comes out there is shit. I don't get why agencies like that get business anymore. Sorry if you work for McCann. I'm not really. And we want to change things. The marketing industry for too long has been so stiff, like you say, and it's followed so many rules and constructs set by old white blokes, that haven't fucking changed their attitude since the fucking 50s and 60s, right? And it's a problem. It's a real problem, because no one's pushing boundaries, no one's taking risks, and the dynamic's wrong in agencies as well. Like, you'll get that where someone will come in, tell you everything you want to hear as a client, and like you say, you'll like the guy, you think, oh, this is great, tell me everything I want to hear, and then they'll fob you off on some juniors, and expect them to deliver all these things that they promised you. And it's just the wrong dynamic. Whereas we do the complete opposite. We go in and we say, we had a big pitch to a huge hospitality company a couple of weeks ago, and they were saying to us, we want this and we want that, and we were like, well, that's not really what we do. And they were like, well, we want it. So if you don't do it, you won't win the pitch. So me and Dino went back and thought, fuck that. Right, we'll pitch into them and tell them exactly the same thing, but we'll make it a really measured argument, and we'll tell them this is what you're going to get. If you don't like it, fuck off, go with someone else.
Yep.
And that's the difference between our pitches and someone like McCann's pitches. McCann will come in and tell you everything that you want to hear, and tell you that you can achieve everything that you want. We'll come in and tell you that probably what you're thinking is shit, but we've got something else that might work instead. The only difference is we'll actually deliver on all that, because it's just full of bullshit. People are just, people are so tied into the ways that things have always been done. And there's always been this dynamic of agency here and client here, and the customer's always right. Actually, in marketing, the customer's normally wrong. So that's a shit dynamic, right? So the dynamic's either got to be this, so you're both on a par, so you're both collaborative and you're discussing things, or the agency should be slightly above in terms of marketing, because they should know what works. They should have experts. They're experts in the field, and these guys should be listening to them.
I completely agree.
And as an agency in a creative house, I refuse to work with anybody, and as do the team, as does Dino, that don't see it like that.
Yep.
That's what's damaged the marketing industry. That's what's damaging creativity. That's what's making most of the adverts out there shite.
Yeah.
People aren't listening to the experts, and that's it. And we refuse to do that.
What's I know you've done bits before Offended, Dan. What's kind of the journey been, like from, I guess, a younger guy starting in business, sort of trials and tribulations, you probably tried a few, like most of us, you probably tried a few things that haven't worked, learned from that. So I guess what's the journey in business like, and how was that affected and built your mindset to where you are now?
Interesting question, really. Right? You'll like some of these, actually, because I started off when I came out of uni selling your products.
Yes, you did. Yes. That'd have been in Manchester, right?
Yeah, which is mental. And here I am on your podcast.
Absolutely.
And then from that point, I had all sorts of businesses. I spent my I've always competed in MMA. The problem with competing in MMA is if you're shit at fighting, you're not going to do very well. But I enjoyed the sport. The sport, right? But so I bought a gym with my, we built a gym with my student loan, me and a mate. Didn't do very well. And then we went into all sorts of things. I mean, I had a clothing business, and I made clothing business, did okay. I tried doing a sports cosmetics business where I made organic Vaseline. Problem with organic Vaseline is, right, fighters don't really give a shit about getting rashes on the face, so they're not really asked about organic stuff that doesn't give you rashes, because they're getting punched, aren't they? They don't care.
Yeah.
that was a shit idea. I made Vaseline in my kitchen.
Yeah.
And then you'll like this one. I've had that many businesses, mate, that failed. I once tried doing one called Gimme Protein, which was like a protein subscription service.
All right, okay.
And I went direct to a farm, right, to try and get some fucking some whey.
Some whey powder from a cow.
Yeah,
right. It don't work like that, mate, I think.
I know, they gave me a big vat of whey fucking liquid. So I'm trying to fucking dry this whey liquid out in my oven.
Yeah.
Right. Put it with a few flavorings and got some of my mates to have it. And honestly, it was it's the worst thing you've ever tasted in your life. So that went down the pan.
Yeah.
There's been loads of things, loads of different ideas. And then eventually I got funding for an app business, a recruitment app business that did okay. We got quite a lot of clients, and then we ran out of funding, just as a lot of tech businesses do. It requires so much money and so much capital to start up.
Yeah.
And then from there, I'd always been freelancing writing. I've freelanced since my early 20s writing. And then I got a job in a tax business as their copywriter, which is weird.
Wow. That is about as far away from what you're doing now as you could be, right?
I know, mate. I know. Got into that, and then eventually got an offer off a startup to come and be their head of content because they liked all the stuff I was starting doing on LinkedIn. Went over there to, and then from that point set an agency up within that because I was, and we were just going in different directions. I refused to conform, and I refused to become more corporate because they were trying to win corporate clients, and they were like, "If you carry on doing content like this, you're going to put them off." And I was like, "Oh, fuck that," and we kind of had a bit of a falling out, and we bought the brand off them, and that's where we are today. Me and Dino sat here today. So a lot of failures, a lot of fuck ups, but that's where we are. That's kind of the journey of most people who own a business, isn't it? I think.
What's your going back to your MMA, and you mentioned that's still. So you're still training, you're still working out. That's still an integral part of your. I guess that's still an integral part of your well-being and your mental wellness.
100%.
What? Just explain a bit about that then.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. I mean, I had a very average career. I was kind of pretty much split equally on wins and losses, and that was across MMA, K1, boxing. All my mates laugh at me because I went my way to 3 title fights and lost all 3 of them. So it turns out, I probably never have a belt, which is, I can never stop it. And actually, when I do stop it, whenever I have periods off, I've had 2 pretty serious shoulder injuries and 3 operations.
Yep.
Whenever I have to stop it, I find my mental health declines. I find that I get more stressed. I find that I'm snappier with people. I find that I'm angry with people. Whereas when I train, I'm literally turn into the most docile person on the planet. And I think that's probably because I get beat up so often. So I think I can't be asked to argue. I definitely don't want to get into another fight because I got twatted last night already. But I think there is nothing. There is no better stress relief than having some 18-stone bloke trying to pull your head off. So
when did you start? When did you start?
I started Thai boxing. I got twatted on the bus when I was about 14. And then my dad said, "Fucking hell, you're soft as shit, mate. I'm going to take you to my mate's Thai boxing gym."
Get yourself sorted.
And so he took me there. And then when I was about 18, a mate of mine said, "Oh, you obviously think you're pretty good at stand up. Should go and try this jiu-jitsu stuff?" So I was like, all right then. And when I got turned into a human pretzel on my first day, and I thought, fucking hell, this is pretty decent, this stuff. I might start. So and that was it then. It's just been training ever since.
Yeah.
But the kids coming up now, they're a different level. I mean, back when I started, you were lucky if you got an experienced person that was like below 30.
Yeah.
Nowadays I'm getting choked out in the gym by 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
which is
it's much more popular now, and it's much more of a, especially mixed martial arts. It's much more of a force now, and and you're taught. I guess you're taught the different disciplines, and there are probably more opportunities now to get jiu-jitsu, to get your stand-up training, to get your conditioning in. It's all about being that kind of rounded athlete now. But you must have been good, mate. So that is a tough sport, and I guess that teaches a lot of mental fortitude as well. So that must have taught you a bit of That must have taught you and been at least instrumental in a bit of the resilience that you put into business. So each time your business fucks up, you've done it. Fair enough, it happens.
Yeah,
But that happens to everyone, and ultimately, if you're, I've never really done fighting. I'm a massive boxing fan, but I just, mine's more, sort of weights and kind of, um, physical conditioning. But even that for me teaches there's obstacles, right? And you achieve obstacles, you achieve personal bests, you overcome challenges. And I always thought in my own head that I took that into my life, and I always thought that helped me in my business. Certainly early days when it was shit and it was really hard work and I'm driving around everywhere and you're losing money and, people aren't ordering. I always think that really crossed over into my business mindset.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I always, I put it at the end of one of my books as well. I always remember my coach saying to me at the end of one. So I had this fight against this lad who, we were the main event on the card. Some big Polish fella, and he absolutely beat the living shit out of me. And I remember at the end of the second round, my coach saying to me, "Right, well, I'll be honest with you, you're losing pretty badly here." My nose was around the back of my head, and I was in trouble. And he's like, but keep going. You never know what the outcome will be. The outcome was that I lost and still got twatted in that round as well. But the one thing that I've always had is the ability to keep going, even if things are bad, even if I'm getting my head kicked in, even if the business isn't going well, even if I'm feeling like shit or having a bad week. I think half of the battle sometimes is just not giving up. It's getting up in the morning and saying, you know what, yeah, this is a shit day. Let's just try and do this much. Let's just try and do that. If I can achieve that today, I'll be happy. And just people, a lot of the time, it's the people that drop out that are the ones that fail. It's not, because how many times have you seen like the best athlete ever, or, the strongest guy in the gym become, you see him in a few years and he's nothing anymore. Or you see the most talented footballer you see in high school, and then you see him in a couple of years, he's got 4 kids and he's about 16 stone with a big beer belly, right? Or you see, the best musician, but the voice breaks and it's full. And they don't adapt. They don't adapt the music style or whatever. Yep. There's all these different people who are the best in the world at something, or could be the best in your world at something, who give up eventually and never become anything. And it's never necessarily the best person at something who reaches the top of the pile. It's the person who keeps adapting, keeps changing, keeps trying to figure stuff out, keeps practicing whatever it is that they're trying to become great at.
Yeah.
That reaches it. And that can take, and this is what people don't get as well, all this fucking glamorization of becoming an entrepreneur. I think you talked about it in one of your posts about how long that can take and what you went through to get there. And it was, 10, 15 years in the making. It wasn't a fucking, 2 year, do entrepreneurship for 2 years and suddenly I'm on fucking $5,000 a month. I don't think people realize that. And that's why so many people give up, because nobody mentally prepares you for how tough it's going to be. And I think that's maybe where the connection comes with sport.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, people are in love with the term entrepreneur out there, so people want to be called an entrepreneur. I know people, as soon as they start a business, entrepreneur goes on the bio. Not sold a thing, not sold a garment, or not nothing, but entrepreneurs there. That's that's the personality they want to project to the world, because that's what they want people to see. So I guess what you're talking about really is resilience there. There's a tremendous amount of resilience there. And that's, you say that's definitely kind of, worked its way through from sport. So have you always been that way? I guess going back to your upbringing, your parents, I always go back to my upbringing and parents. My dad was I always go back to my dad, so we were kind of working class family from West Yorkshire town, and my dad worked in a warehouse. He was a warehouse labourer, and I always remember getting up in the morning, for school. He used to get up really fucking early, and he used to be up on the sofa, and towards the end of his time working, probably in his late 50s, early 60s, he was, he'd fall asleep. He was knackered, but he'd be up there 5:30 every morning on that sofa. And sometimes I'd have to wake him up, send him on his way. Dad, it's time to go to work. And he'd come back with fucking hands. My dad had these big hands, knackered hands, like oil and like bits of metal stuck in him because he used to be doing some turning or whatever. And I always think that you know, even though I didn't get any, you know, any kind of start or, you know, sort of you know, material things in life. I guess what I got from him was that kind of resilience. I think he had one day off work in his like 40 odd years, just went there grafting. And I think you can be, you know, you're definitely born with that, you know, DNA, inherited DNA resilience, but you taught it as well. So I don't know what you think about that and how, you know, and how I guess your, you know, early life and upbringing, how that's affected you as you've grown.
You're probably right completely there, mate, as well. Is that, you know, I think you are born with the ability to be resilient. You know, I think my resilience comes from my mum. My mum was an absolute fucking warrior. I mean, she did the amount of shit she went through before she died. You know, this was a woman who'd had multiple cancer scares in her life, who'd got alopecia at one point, lost all her hair, which for a woman is horrendous. Battled through that. And then it got and then got one of the worst cases of rheumatoid arthritis that they'd seen in the UK in years, and had all these experimental operations which fucked her up even more. And then got tons of types of cancer again, and eventually died. Through all of that experience, she had a smile on her face. I don't ever remember that woman being miserable. Ever, like ever, mate. You know, and so that was already kind of there inbuilt. However, as a kid, I think because I was always all right at stuff, and because I think I kind of had this attitude of, you know, if things don't come easy, I'll sulk or I'll quit. And I remember my dad used to be fucking fuming with me all the time. So he used to get you right, you know, they were working class as well. You know, my mum was ill, so couldn't work. My dad's a fireman, but he was anti-establishment, anti-authority, so didn't want to climb the ladder. So he sat there on the bottom rung going, "No, I'm just one of the lads," you know. But providing for a family, so we got no money. And every bit of money they're putting, rather than them going out or going on holidays or anything like that, they're putting this money into me and my brother being able to do fucking karate lessons or piano or fucking gymnastics or something, right? And he's so for me to keep quitting stuff was just that I was the bane of his life. And I think up until the point where I was maybe about 18, and I think I finally grew up and thought, no, fuck this, I'm going to get nowhere if I don't start putting stuff in. Yeah, it's fine that things come easy and I can do a bit of this and then fuck that off and then do a bit of this. When I finally got to 18, I thought, you know what, I need to do something. Actually, I've got. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I need to do something. Actually, as I've grown and now I'm reached 33, it's an even different level. And I'm sure by the time I'm 43, it'll be even more so. And I think I drive people wild. My only point now is that I need to kind of, I think I'm almost going too far the other way. So now I need to learn to step back a little bit and go, right, it's becoming a bit of an obsession, this. And I've got to give time for myself, and I've got to give time for my mates, and I've got to give time for the people I care about. And it's weird, the change, because I think there is a change as you grow up and mature and realize what you want in life. The only danger for people like us is that you can almost go too far with it as well, and that's the other side of the coin, isn't it? Yeah,
and I think I've definitely been there, and I think you're right. I think, you know, I found I think blokes grow up emotionally later, don't you? I think it took me longer. I mean, I started my first business, I was 28, and as soon as I started that, you know, the amount of change, the amount of growing up you've got to do, the responsibility you take on, and then, you know, I had children quite late again, but, you know, but through my 30s, I'd say I had a massive change from 30 to 40, almost a different guy. And I think you get nearer your mortality as well. You get nearer, you think, fucking hell, I mean, I'm approaching the second part of my life here. And you know, and getting to that point is pretty terrifying. You know, most people don't. Well, no one wants to think about that. No one wants to think about the fact that your end day is going to come, and it's going to happen to all of us. And then so you try and pack everything in, and you become obsessed with doing things. And you become obsessed with status. And I think there's a lot of searching around for status and a lot of searching around for meaning. And I think people often forget to kind of just be. And I think that's a massive, and especially with social media and things, which is, you know, sort of, you know, almost 100% performative, isn't it? Everything on social media is a performance, you know, whether you're selling or whether you're posting to 10 mates and trying to get 5 likes and waiting for those likes to come. It's a real sense of status. Yeah, that is definitely a big challenge. Why'd you write your book, Dan?
The book was a bit of two things. I mean, it was a bit of a brain dump. So I'd already written most of those notes. It was just me mashing a load of my notes and my thoughts together. But the other thing was we had this thing in our agency where we you know, and it's the way I've always done work, is I believe in strategy second. So I think that you know, all these big corporate things like that spend 3 months, 6 months on strategy, right? It's just bollocks. Most of them are guessing, and most of it is just fucking big wig marketing directors or whatever, directors in their ivory tower sat there trying to find a purpose for their job, right? That's what strategy is most of the time. And I don't believe in that. I think that you testing things, the whole, like, you know, like when you build a startup or a startup product and you've got an MVP and then you test it with the market and then you build iterations based on that, right? Content's no different, marketing's no different. So when people go out and go, oh, we're trying to find a different way to market, let's brainstorm some ideas. Right, that's a brilliant idea. Let's do a big strategy around it. That's fucking nonsense. That's a new idea. How do you know if it's going to work or not? Now you're going to spend 3 months building a strategy for it, which, you know, you could find out whether it dives now if you put it out.
And by the time you've got your strategy, it's gone.
Exactly, it's fucking gone already. Or either that, or it bombs, and you've it's a massive loss making exercise. That 3 months, and you've wasted a lot of money. Yeah. So that's what people do, and so this was like the ultimate thing of that. So I said to the guys, I said, what happens if I could write a book in a weekend, in about half a week, and from first word on paper to print, and we get it into the bestseller charts in Amazon, we overtake like all the marketing gurus. They were like, yes, well, obviously not going to happen. You know, like a bit of a pie in the sky sort of moment. I thought, no, fuck it, I'm going to do it. You know, I've got my teeth into it now. I'm like a dog with a bone when I get my, you know, when I get an idea that I want to do. So I just did it, pen to paper, put it out there. Two posts on LinkedIn. One of which was screenshots of a WhatsApp group, a private WhatsApp group that was slagging me off. So I thought, oh, what perfect marketing opportunity this is. So I used them in my adverts. Next thing we know, I mean, in the first 3 months, 4 months, it hit over 8,000 copies, and wow. In the first month, it got to number 1 in the marketing charts. Although only for a few days, but for a few days, you know, it sat well above the likes of Vaynerchuk and all those muppets, and it worked. Somehow worked. And people always say to me, "Oh, did it work?" And I was like, "I've not got a fucking clue." I said, "But the one thing I do know is that had I spent 6 months writing that book, and I'd have put it out and it bombed, I'd have lost a lot more money and a lot more of my time and effort than I would have done if I'd put it out now after 3 days and it bombed." So either way, I beat the system.
It's interesting. Yeah. I have got a copy, and I read it, really liked it, and I thought, I think the way I look at it, and I think the way I'll use it, and I think the way I do use it is, it's a kind of reminder when you get lost in the bollocks, and we all do it. Yeah. And I've done it before, and even spending time, you know, sort of, you know, as the business has got bigger and you're growing and you bring in other people, you know, when you're working with other stakeholders. Yeah. And it used to frustrate the hell out of me. Your points around strategy. I've just been there, mate. I've just been there and seen it, and seen it in all its bollocks. Yeah. I think it's a real reset. It's a reset button, I think. Yeah. For me, in that it just takes you back to what's important and what's not important, and most of it is not important. Yeah. And there are some of it and there are some bits that are just really, really, really important. Mm-hmm. But there's only a few things. And if you've got that, then you've got a brand. And I know a lot of brands now, and I speak to a lot of them because they'll contact me via LinkedIn. I had a call this morning, and sort of worrying about what they should do with money and spend. And they've been 2 years, and I'm like, listen, you're here 2 years. After winning is being here. Yeah. If you're even 2 years and you're even 4 years, well, you're winning. You're winning because a lot of brands aren't here in 4 years. So you're doing something right. You just got to believe in it, and you just got to not believe that there's a a bit of a golden rainbow, you know, over the hill, that if you spend this cash here, then something will automatically change. It's just about, I guess, keep on doing what you believe in. When I started PhD, that was 2005.
Yeah.
No such thing as social media.
Yeah.
Or it might have just been started. I can't remember when Facebook started. We had forums and things like that. And you know, and I used to think forums were a really interesting psychological experiment, in that you'd have people would go mental on forums. You know, we used to have a natural bodybuilding forum, and people would kick off on this natural bodybuilding forum, and you'd build up these personas of people, what they'd be like. And then I can remember meeting a guy in person, and he'd argue the fuck with me, and being a real arsehole. Yeah. And I met him in person. I was expecting this big confrontation, and this guy came up to me and goes, "Oh yeah, Jay." I'm like, "Who are you?" "Oh, I'm so and so." It was nice as pie, and completely different to what I expected. And that's when I kind of thought, yeah, this forum thing, which morphed into social media thing, you know, is almost kind of completely performative.
Yeah.
In that you're putting out there an image of yourself that you want people to think exactly, you are. Mate.
Exactly.
What how have you, because you're 33, so you've pretty much grown up in this social media area. You'll remember some parts before it, undoubtedly. How do you think that's daft question, really, because it's pretty obvious, but how do you think that's changed brands and marketing, and how do you think it's changed creativity?
I mean, it's in one way, it's given us a lot more opportunities, right? It's connected more of us than ever before. And generally, if you look through history, connection, you know, elevated connection leads to innovation, leads to growth, leads to the development of society. Either that, or it leads to its downfall, right? That's the other thing, right? So that's the other thing we've got to be mindful of, is that which we're
kind of at the precipice. Feel
exactly,
like we're,
kind of we're on a cliff here, where, you know, the robots might be taking over pretty soon, but hopefully I'll be dead. Yeah. But it's changed in a lot of ways for businesses. But what still fascinates me is how many businesses haven't yet adapted. And I tell you what it is as well, is a lot of businesses are so far behind using social media effectively and using the online world effectively, because they are run by, you know, generally old white blokes who are from a different era, who still refuse to change. But what we're now seeing, and what's happened now with a lot of this, especially now that COVID's here, right, is that a lot of these businesses have died straight off the bat, because their only option was to survive in an online world. All that was left was an online world for the past year, right?
Yep.
There's so many businesses that hit that, and actually, oh fuck, well, we weren't really utilizing social media, or we didn't really have a product that could adapt to the online world, and that's it, dead. Yep. And that's the way that's the reason a lot of businesses have died. It's not that hospitality's died. Actually, there's a lot of hospitality industries a lot of hospitality businesses have adapted quite quickly, and they've turned products really out there really quickly. Look at Brewdog, bam. Yeah. All right, we can't serve out of our bars. No worries.
Yeah,
we'll sort that. Yeah, I mean, you know, I've fallen out with Brewdog a few times online because of the nick marketing ideas, but fair play to you on that.
Really?
It's a great business model, right? What they've done is right, and everyone else is sat there going, "Oh, well, it's killed our business." Yeah, but you weren't prepared for anything like this. You should have been prepared for this eventuality, because this is the world we live in, right? If something goes tits up and this is all we can do is Zoom, what happens if this is it forever?
Yeah.
You know, everyone's got to be ready to adapt. This is the world now, and it still fascinates me that people didn't adapt quick enough. Yeah. And I'm not blaming them. You know, I get it. Change is fucking hard work, and it's scary, and nobody wants it. And the older you get, the less you want it. Yeah. But it still baffles me, because there are so many opportunities even now. And what you're finding now is, see, all these industries that are dying, they're not dying. A lot of them aren't dying. Everyone's saying, "Oh, hospitality is dying," or, you know, there's all these, you know, just fluffy comments like that. But it's not really. Actually, there's loads of people adapting. You know, my mate's brother, younger brother, as soon as that went tits up, he started doing fucking cocktails at home, sending people out, you know, fully cocktail boxes with all the fucking ingredients in and stuff.
Wow.
Bam, jump straight on the wagon, set up an Instagram page, 10,000 followers, off he pops, selling a ton. He adapted that quickly. Now, why couldn't other hospitality businesses do that?
Yeah.
So that's the difference with the world now. It moves too quickly, and that's why strategy doesn't work, because you don't have 3 months to make a strategy.
No, because by the time you get to the end of it, and I guess that goes back to what you said before. You know, you spend 6 months doing a strategy, you're committed to it. By the time you get to 6 months, you've spent the money, so you've got no choice. So you're putting out material there that you know is dated, probably wrong, not going to work, but your team's fully committed because you're so much of an oil tanker. You can't pivot, you can't change.
Yeah,
and that's what's happening.
Exactly, mate. Exactly.
What's the future for Offended, Dan, and what's the future for you?
Good question, mate. We're going to keep stirring stuff up. We are adapting as well. We're writing probably the most offensive digital marketing training course, online training course of all time. It's more like an animated series, really, that's going to piss people off, but hopefully people will learn something from it as well. So we've got that that's in the pipeline, which should hopefully January, February land. That'll come out with our new site as well. Then we've got a clothing range as well with some of the most offensive advertising I've ever seen. So we're going to get in a lot of trouble next year. Next year is trouble year. I've said that to Dean. I said either it's going to kill us, or we're just going to go balls to the wall. We can't be offended and fucking tread on eggshells, can we?
No, you can't. Well, I mean,
we've got to go balls to the wall and see what happens.
There's plenty of people out there running to tell people what they should be offended by, right? So I think it's really refreshing to see your approach, mate. Still going to carry on training, still keeping fighting. Any kind of plans to do a bit more, but get more into it? Are you coaching or?
No, maybe not. I mean, I'm back training maybe 3 times, 4 times a week.
Yeah.
And my coach keeps saying, now you're older and stuff, you're thinking a bit more, you're getting a bit sharper, you're getting some, you're not quite as, so maybe you're thinking about competing next year. And I think, one part of me think, this on this shoulder, the little devil's going, that's a great idea. You should compete again, mate. One last hurrah. And then I'll look across the gym and I'll see these fucking 14-year-olds and the power they're kicking with and things. And I just think, fuck that. So then there's this guy on this shoulder going, no, old man, don't do that. Because look at that kid there and look what he's going to do to you. So I don't know. I love the sport. I definitely keep competing. I think I need it. Like I said before, I think we all need something. And I think that connection to sport and fitness, and even if it's just fucking getting out there for a walk in nature and taking it all in and taking a break, I think it's massively important for anyone doing what you've done and I'm doing.
Any more books?
I'm writing one at the minute. Called the working name, the I-20 mentality, which is based on me having a Hyundai i20 for years that looked like it had been raped by a gorilla, and I used to drive to meetings with it, and people used to always say, where do you like stop like a few streets down? And I used to say, no, I fucking drive right into the client's car park and I park right there, or I drive right into the conference, I park right there.
Love it.
When people see me get out of that car, you immediately underestimate me.
Yeah.
And I have built my career on being underestimated.
Yeah.
That's what the book's about.
Yeah, I relate to that. Why do you think they underestimate you, Dan?
Probably because I sound thick as fuck. Dean
an accent thing, a snobbery.
Dean sounds even thicker. And when we walk into a room, people think, fucking hell, how have you two got a business? I think our staff think, how have you two got a business? But it's a good thing. It's always a good thing, because when we go into pitches, no one expects us to win against people like MediaCom, McCann, or some of the big creative houses. But we go into them, and we've beat them already before in pitches. And we beat them because nobody expects us to come in, because they will come in with a half-baked pitch because they think it's in the bag.
Yeah.
We go in there with the ideas fully baked, the pitch all set out, flip boards, a performance. Dean learns and he acts out the fucking the advert.
I can believe it, mate. Yeah.
And I want people to underestimate us, and I think you should. I think more people, rather than showing off on social media, rather than chucking your Mercedes key down that's on finance to show everyone how rich you are or not. I think more people should be realizing that that's not the correct way to play it. This fake it till you make it. You're walking in there, and people are automatically thinking that you're going to be something you're not, and you'll soon get found out. Whereas if people always underestimate you, the only way is up, right?
Yeah, I found even in the last, since 2014, and then, sort of sold the business, but carried on and spent a bit of time around corporate world. The amount of it's a place that's riddled with ego, and they all kind of the ego is the enemy is, I completely believe in that, but it is riddled with ego.
Yeah.
To the point where even to preserve ego, they'll do wrong things or things they don't believe to be right just because it's preserving ego.
Yeah.
And it's tremendously childish, but it's out there, and it's out there, and it surprised me how much it was out there, because coming from from kind of a bootstrap startup, I didn't think I had no exposure at all to the corporate world at all. So seeing how decisions were made and why they were made, and sort of performances within businesses, it was a massive eye opener to me. So I think I think your approach is really refreshing. I think it's right. I think it's modern and current, and I think more power to you, mate.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, much appreciated.
Cool. Dan, let's call it a day on that, mate. I know you're a busy guy. I appreciate your time. It's been, like I say, first time we spoke. Good time to get 45 minutes with you, mate. So I appreciate your time. It's good to find out a bit more about you, what makes you tick, and how you got there, and understand a bit more now about Effendi. Keep spitting your bars, mate. I'll keep listening on LinkedIn.
I will do, and thanks very much for having me, mate. I mean, it's like I say, it's mad thinking that I was one point I was selling your CLA and your fat burners and your fucking your whey powder, and now I'm on your podcast, mate. So it's a buzz for me as well.
Good times, mate.
Appreciate it, really do.
Cool. Thanks so much, mate.
All right, mate. No problems. I'll catch you soon. Yeah.
Bye bye.